In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial on how to cut this stylish blazer blouse with one-sided collar and basque waistline. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So for this pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out my measurements, and in front of my pattern you notice I have a straight line which will be serving for the overlapping allowance at the front. So I marked 1.5, but when drafting I had to reduce it to 1 inch. Now mark your shoulder to bust, under bust, waist and blouse length, right? You can use 5 inches after your waistline, or go ahead to measure your blouse length. From here, this line, mark your shoulder divided by 2 plus half and come down by 1 inch. Here, mark a basic neckline of 3 inches. I'll just mark 3 by 3 inches. I'll be using this to serve as a guide for my pattern, but I will still adjust it to the normal V neckline we have for this dress. Now connect from the shoulder slant to your neckline, and next is to go ahead to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Place your ruler and you're going to draw out a straight line at that point. After marking, place back your tape from here and mark your shoulder divided by 2 plus half inch. Now after marking that, place your ruler and go ahead to draw a straight line at this point. Now the next step you're going to take is to divide what you have here into 2 equal parts to draw your armhole curve and come out by half inch. Place back your tape, mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Now connect from here to the upper part and connect to your bust circumference divided by 4. So after marking this, the next step I'll take is to mark out my dart. Your dart is going to start immediately after this line, which you're going to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches, which I'll connect all the way down. Now, I'm going to go ahead to mark my dart intake of half inch on both sides of my pattern. Come down by 1 inch from the bust. Now place your ruler and connect all the way up, and also connect at the other side. Now place this and extend this all the way down, and also extend at the other side of your pattern. Now after you're done marking this, the next step you're going to take is to insert your body measurement. Now at the bust, place your tape and you mark your bust circumference divided by 4 and add 1 inch for your sewing allowance. Because this is a blazer dress, you don't need much sewing allowance unless you want to add. I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure this dart intake and then add my sewing allowance. Going down to the waistline, I'm going to mark the waist circumference divided by 4. So looking at what we have on that pattern, the waist seems to be snatched. Probably that is the waistline of the person. Now I'll measure this dart intake here, and I'll replace my dart intake and add my sewing allowance. Now I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Now after I'm done marking that, I'll connect from the bust all the way to the under bust. From that point to the waistline, I'll connect from the waistline all the way towards the hip of my pattern. After marking at that point, I'm going to transfer all the measurements to the other side of my pattern also. After transferring the measurement, I'm going to extend the neckline area upwards because I'm going to use a built-up collar neckline. Looking at the neckline of the dress, you notice there's a built-up neckline at that point. So I'll go ahead to fold back my pattern, and this is what I have. By the side, I'll come up by 2 inches and I'll go ahead to mark. Now we are trying to create that asymmetric hemline we have at the lower part, or that Basque hemline. So I'll start extending it. At this point, I'll come down by 1.5 to 2 inches and I'll connect, extend it to the button allowance I added in front. This button allowance can serve as an overlap effect for the front part of your blouse. Now I'll use my marker to outline my pattern. So I'll just go ahead to make a mark to indicate that I have a button allowance at this point. Now I'll mark 1.25 to 1.5 inches at the neckline. place my tape and measure about 1 inch, then I'll blend it towards the neckline of the pattern. After marking this, you want to place your tape and mark how deep you want the V neckline to be. So I'm using about 8 inches and I'll extend this out to the button allowance and I will connect. So after connecting at this point, while cutting it out, I noticed that it did not relax very well. So I had to like readjust it again. But first, I'm going to cut this out. So for this particular pattern, if you're drafting yours, you can go ahead to use one side to draft, then go ahead to attach a pattern paper by the neckline to cut out the collar, that is the part that has a collar. So I'm just cutting it this two way so that you understand what is going on at each side of the pattern. So after cutting out this part, I'll cut out the neckline area and open it up. So now go ahead to extend my neckline at this point and use my marker to outline. So just like I said, after marking this, I had to readjust it. So I'll fold the neckline at this point so that I will have that line here and I will follow it up by the side of my pattern. Now also go up by 1 inch here and come in by 1.5 inches or 1.25. Now just go ahead and I will connect this, right? So please, I'm still going to readjust this because after I was done cutting out, the neckline was not really overlapping. So what I'll do is to go ahead to cut out the rest of my pattern, cut out this neckline. So I'll still go ahead to add a pattern paper in front on one side of this pattern so that I will cut out the overlapping collar on one side. So just like I said, the button or relaxing allowance which will cross over to the other side, I added 1.5, but after placing it, it wasn't lapping very well, so I just removed half inch from it. So when you're cutting yours, just add 1 inch in front of your pattern so that by the time you place it over this way, it can easily relax on the other side of your pattern, and then you top stitch it, because I don't think it's a button like you can open it up. I feel it was top stitched on each other, right? And then you attach a fancy button on it. So if you notice, I added another pattern paper here. Just like I said, I'm readjusting the neckline of what I have. So I'll just place this to trace this other side. What I'll do is to fold the neckline of this point of this part so that I'll place it on the other side and trace it out exactly on this part, right? So this is what I have here and I'll go ahead to cut out. So just like I said earlier, if you're cutting this, you can just go ahead to use one pattern paper. After cutting one side, then you attach pattern paper to the other side to draft this part that has collar, right? So from the top of this pattern, I added 1 inch on top and I'll start blending this out going down. So from here, I came down by 5 inches and I'll be going out by 4.5. So this measurement might not work for you. This totally depends on your body size, right? The collar should not exceed your shoulder measurement. So I'll just go in a bit and place and measure about 4.5 to 5 inches, and I'll extend this to the lower part. After extending to this point, I'm just going to measure about 3.5 inches and I'll start connecting it down. So if you're not okay with this measurement, just like I said, you can go ahead to use your own measurement for the collar. So after marking this out at this point, I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. And after cutting it out, I'll now place it to see if it's okay. If it's not okay, I'll still go ahead to readjust. So this is what I have, and I'll just go ahead to outline the border of the pattern. So this will now overlap this on the other side of the pattern, right? So for this collar, the back, her hair is covering it, so I don't know if the collar extended all the way to the back. You can just add only to the front and then join the shoulder up and then place the collar to relax on the side of your pattern. Now moving over to the back pattern. So I've gone ahead to mark a zipper allowance. So I'm just using this little space for my zipper. For a zipper allowance, please add 1.5 to 2 inches. And for the neckline, I'm using 3 inches by 1. I marked my shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half because the dress has a sleeve, and I marked out my chest line. So here's my shoulder to bust, waist and blouse length, right? So there's no under bust for this pattern because this is the back pattern, right? So what I'll do now is to start marking my dart. I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. So I'll be taking this measurement all the way to the lower part of my pattern, and I'm going to draw a straight line all the way from the upper part to the blouse length. So after marking this, I'll be marking a dart intake of 1/2 inch on both sides of the waistline of my pattern. Come down by 1 inch here, and I'll extend this all the way up and extend to the other side. I'll be taking this to the lower part of my pattern, and I'll also repeat this at the other side too. Now let's insert my body measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add a sewing allowance. Now I'll go down, mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake I have here, replace it, then add a sewing allowance. After adding that, I'll mark my my hip circumference divided by 4 at the blouse length, and I'm going to go ahead to add a sewing allowance. Just like I said, this is a blazer dress. You don't need much sewing allowance. You just need 1 inch, unless you want to add much to your pattern. Now go ahead to connect this. After connecting at this point, I'll still go ahead to come up by 2 inches by the side, and I'll extend this all the way to the lower part to create that asymmetric hemline we have here. I'll extend the hemline by 1.5 inches and I will connect, right? From the waistline, I will come down by 2 inches to 3 inches, and I will go in by 1 inch here so that I won't have much gaping. So from here, I'll go ahead to connect all the way to the upper part of my pattern. So after connecting this, I'll extend this by 1 inch or 1.5 inches, and I will connect. After I'm done connecting, I'll outline this with my marker. After I'm done outlining, at the waistline, I'll mark 1/2 inch, and I'll be extending this all the way up. This is to get rid of the zipper bulge at the back of the dress. So after I'm done marking this, I'm done with this pattern drafting, and I'll just go ahead to cut this out. So if you have any question, please kindly go ahead to ask. And after I'm done cutting out the pattern, this is what the back pattern will look like.